How's it going, YouTube? Lawler here as always. We just wrapped up the RLCS Major in Birmingham. Pretty crazy stuff across the board. Couple things that we need to talk about, but primarily overall a good event. I think the matches were relatively competitive. We saw some pretty cool things. We've already recapped one day, and then the days just became super long. We're already, we're at 6 hours and 51 minutes for this stream. We streamed like 30 some hours this weekend, so it's been pretty crazy. But fun fact, I'm going to do this here and then not stream tomorrow and take a day off. Either way, quick recap of the results and kind of talking through things. As you guys know, we saw the first two rounds, everything going according to plan. And then the upsets started to happen, which is what we were kind of waiting to see of when that was going to go down. Your top two seeds, in my opinion, with Vitality and K-Corp showing that. Vitality, strongest strength of schedule going through Swiss, having to play the toughest competition on their way through. Teams who had the best records with like a Buchholz and stuff like that. Looking really, really solid. Outside of that, you know, some of the same narratives, kind of ups and downs for teams like Dignitas, Gen G, competitive, but still just not able to close it out. Twisted Minds, I think, giving Mina a really solid number 2 team. My biggest upset, and I think maybe this is just due to personal desire, is Secret, I think, really underperformed. I think Secret just did not have the polish that you expect, especially for a team that was able to go toe-to-toe against someone like Furia throughout the season. So I don't know why it doesn't translate on land, but unfortunate for them. I was pleasantly surprised by Twisted. I think Twisted in their first showing definitely had some really good performances. I think your MVPs for Swiss are probably Naupo, Drolly or Atal. Both are absolutely insane. Zen for sure really showed up. And then honestly, FK. I think FK and Ultimates was probably the big surprise for a lot of people, where some exciting results, I think, from Ultimates, but still a lot of us left unconvinced. I don't know, like Ultimates had some highs and lows. It's like they would go and compete and lose to NRG, and then they would have a really close series against Gen G, and I'm like, okay, Ultimates, like, I don't know how I feel. And then you see an underperforming Falcons. Maybe that's the biggest shock. Falcons did not impress me. You know, there was moments, there was times where I'm like, their offense looks incredible. There's certain times where I'm like, the polish is there, the consistency, they're threatening. And then there's other times where I'm like, did you guys just not have breakfast this morning? Did you not prep right? Like, what's going on? And I couldn't really put my finger on it because I put pretty high expectations. Like a top 4 requirement for Falcons is kind of where my thoughts at. And they just didn't live up to that expectation. So Luminosity did get upset. APAC did get 2 wins, so congrats to them. Wildcard not making it. Neither OCE team making it to the round 5. Maybe we're going to see some more import talent. Seems to be working for some, but yeah, falling short. A lot of game 5s, a lot of close ones across the board. You kind of look back now that we've seen the entire event. It's like, what if Ultimates concedes to Gen G? What if Furia concedes to Complexity? You know, even further back, what happens if this game 5 for Twisted and Vitality swaps? If we ran it all back, we would not get the same results outside of maybe what the grand final has been. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Jumping into the main event. And we're kind of looking at this all at once. It is what it is. We started with the 2 lower rounds, Furia and Twisted. Furia, something about them changed. And I think that's the beauty of these tournaments, right? We go to a day-to-day, right? The nice thing about Swiss is you don't play all these matches at once. And the difference between what I saw from here and here was lights out difference. Furia came with an intensity, with an urgency, and an aggression. And we got that further carried through. Like, their offense was just too much for Twisted. Falcons and GK, I think Falcons is just the better team. I think Falcons is more consistent. I think they provide a same level of quality. It's just they didn't really ever hit that peak that I expect. So when they had teams that were able to compete against them, you saw a little bit more. Both, I think, Energy and Falcons are top 4 capable, and you're telling me it came down to 1 goal for that to become true. So again, I don't discredit Falcons. I still think top 4, even with them not looking as great. The same thing applied to Energy. I don't think Energy also looked that great. Their defense was impeccable. Their defense was arguably one of the best. But a problem scoring goals, which is usually not the case. So my curiosity is this a short-term problem or if it's a long-term problem? Very interested to see Energy going back to the drawing board and seeing what they can do to have a better success rate in Split 2, because it has trended Ultimates, which is where we start in the uppers. I was shocked by this result as well. Ultimates, after they beat Falcons, I was like, dang, I didn't expect that. That's cool. And then they kept winning. and then they kept winning. And I'm just like, okay, I guess Ultimates has built this team. We knew they got LJ for a reason, to be a little bit more competitive, and it's been showing up for them to take down Vitality. This one was pretty wild. It was game 6. LJ or whoever it was had a aerial, and then they backed off and they actually flew behind them to get a bump to open up a goal. They were up by 2 with like 20 some seconds, and then Vitality scored 2 unanswered. Their final goal at 0 seconds was a Zen air dribble into a bump, and then it was a free open net shot. And it's like, okay, maybe they're gonna steal it away again on Neo Tokyo. And Ultimates closed it out. Very impressive, very good series, very fun series. But yeah, Ultimates having that little bit extra. As for K Corp Energy had moments, but it just felt like they were playing catch up at times. It's really tough to kind of explain this one. I'm trying to remember it, especially with it being yesterday, and a lot has gone down since then. But it just felt that like K Corp is one step ahead on everybody. We then went down to lowers to start the day. Fury and Vitality was fun. That was a back and forth affair. Very, very competitive. Was happy to see Furia because they almost threw it in the final seconds, and then they were able to hold out in an OT. So that was cool. Game 7s, to me, again, I talk to you guys when I get top 6s. Anybody has a chance to go and win. I do feel fully that all of these teams, including these, have a chance to go win the whole thing. If they're feeling it on the day, if things are clicking, 100%. Everybody in this side has a chance to win the entire thing. I was very happy actually to see Furia play upset, even though you guys know my opinion on Vitality. And I think Vitality did live up to my expectations. They didn't win the whole thing, but I think they showed that when those guys get on LAN, it is a different breed of talent. I know a lot of people kind of wrote them off, but I still believe Vitality had it in them. You know, if Vitality goes and plays up against K Corp, I still think with the current K Corp, probably wouldn't have mattered, but I was assuming that if Vitality wins here, then this is Vitality instead of Ultimates. Maybe we have a different result, but unfortunately we had regions knocking each other out. Who knows if Energy would have done any better against K Corp with a rematch, because the one thing that we have to talk about that has happened now for the 6th time, Furia has lost, or Vitality has lost to the opponent in Swiss. So Furia earlier on played Vitality in Swiss and lost, and it was a sweep. And then Furia comes back and wins in bracket play. And that has happened in the last 3 either majors or world championships. That is 3 events in a row that has happened. That has not changed. So if you're Furia or Vitality and you're playing each other, throw your Swiss match. It'll pay off in the bracket. It's crazy that it's happened. Game 7 again. Very, very fun series. But K Corp undefeated on Championship Sunday. Didn't drop a single game. I was a little concerned because they had to sit for like, I think it was like 4.5, maybe 5 hours before they got to play for this series. But it did not matter. Like, someone made the joke about like Panthers getting tranquilized type shit, and K Corp just had an answer for everything. Their defense, especially in the grand finals, was just like, dude, Ultimates couldn't buy a goal. Like, there was times where it was in front of the net and it slowly trickled in. It just happened to get saved every single time. It was insane. Ultimate's Energy, there was definitely a familiarity, I think, or a level of comfort of playing in similar region. And I do feel like the big difference right now is EU's defense is them just playing really aggressive offense and not letting it get past the midfield. NA is almost, and this is going to be very, very critical, it almost feels like a JRPG where it's like text-based. I click fight, I scroll through my list of attacks, then I click the attack, then I do the attack, and then the other team does the same thing. Okay, my turn. I click fight, I scroll through my attacks, I choose tackle, and then it's like we're playing Pokemon, dude. Like, it just felt slow. It felt like so much space was being provided, and that was really exploited in the grand final. Ultimates was given a lot of space. K Corp was just able to do whatever they wanted. They got smacked. K Corp, best team in the world. Not only are they the best team, they don't drop a single series throughout the entire tournament. They play literally perfect outside of, game differential and stuff. But yeah, K Corp's that team. The team that everybody considered the #1 seed coming in won the entire event. I said that about day one, where when I was doing my predictions, I picked all the high seeds except for Complexity Secret, because I do think NA4 is better if it's Complexity in this regard. I think Secret can maybe take Genji if this was Genji instead, but Genji, I think demo heavy and aggression would still probably beat Secret, especially without Secret was playing. But we called this perfect because I do think high seed versus low seed nowadays is pretty telling. So pretty wild stuff. For them to close it out and do their thing was pretty incredible. Also, just as a quick recap, Moxie Yan. Moxie did go up 3-0 in the 1v1 show match on Saturday. Yan did start to claw back, a little bit more aerial play, some musty shots that were pretty nice, but Moxie does clutch up in the end. Recommendation, if anybody from Psyonix or Epic ever watches, instead of letting the players forfeit, I'm curious about implementing a mercy rule, where if you are down by X amount of goals after so many goals are scored, like say you have to have at least 5 goals have to be scored. You know, it can't be like, hey, you're down 0-4, it's over. But like if one player scores 5 goals and they're up by 5 or 6 or whatever, like if it's 5-0, 6-0 and you're up by 5 or whatever it is, call the game. I much rather see the adjustments and the changes happen throughout the series rather than throughout the individual game, because we saw what was essentially, it was like an hour and 10 minutes of gameplay, and anytime someone had a lead, there was never a comeback. It got close sometimes, and that's like exciting, but I much rather see that throughout the series rather than throughout the individual game, which is already very long. Maybe that's me being super critical of ones, but I think it'd be fun or interesting to experiment with. I think a mercy rule would be kind of cool. Either way, that is what we've got. Birmingham Major all wrapped up. Congrats to K-Corp, best team in the world and still looking like it. Congratulations to Moxie. He is going to be competing in France. But we've got a little bit of a break over the next week and a half, 2 weeks, chat. We have trade window. We're going to start seeing roster changes and seeing who's sticking around orgs wise and otherwise. We've got esports decals, new update coming on April 22nd. And then we get back into what is Split 2. Everybody competing to go to Raleigh. We get to do it all over again. So that said, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the comments down below. That is going to do it for me. As always, like, subscribe, comments, whatever you guys got. Massive shout outs to my audience this weekend. You guys were absolutely fantastic. So many gifted subs, so many follows and support and people hanging out. It was dope. So we've streamed officially like 31 hours or some garbage this past weekend. Time to take a little bit off. So probably no video on Tuesday unless something crazy happens. But we'll see you in the next one. Peace.